Hello humans, it's just Martine, and welcome to the first week of the Squash That Series challenge. The Squash That Series challenge is hosted by Kayla and Bailey, two of my friends here on BookTube. I'll link both of their channels down below. They're fabulous. Go and give them a follow if you don't follow them already. Basically, the premise of this 2-week readathon is to read the continuations or finish up reading certain series that you've been reading. I personally don't really track what series I'm reading. I have a vague idea in my mind of like sequels that I might want to read or something, but it's not something I really keep track of or truly care about. But I like having a nice reading challenge to do. I love supporting my BookTube friends, and this will force me to read some really good books. So I decided to do it anyway. And also I wanted to be able to do weekly vlogging for the next couple of weeks, but I wanted it to have some specific theme because there's a lot going on in my life right now. This was the perfect opportunity for that. So Bailey and Kayla, thank you. I love you both deeply. It's Tuesday morning, so the readathon technically started yesterday. I actually did get some reading done yesterday, thankfully, because Bailey and Kayla ended up doing reading sprints. And so I watched those and got some reading done. The first thing that I did was read the 3rd volume of Paper Girls, which is a science fiction graphic novel series that I've been reading because it's available through my library on Libby, and it's an easy read, and I gave it, did I give it 2.5 stars out of 5? Anyway, I rated it around there. It's an okay series. As I said during the live stream last night, if I had to pay for it or wait for a library hold for it to come through, then I probably wouldn't continue this series, but since they're available, it's like, why not? It's an easy read. It's pretty fun. And I used that to fulfill the prompt to read a book in a series that you started most recently. And then I also started reading The World as We Knew It, or Life as We Knew It, one of those, which is a YA book that I actually used to listen to on audiobook when I was younger. I would check it out from the library, like the set of audiobook CDs, and I'd listen to it as I fell asleep. I remember the narrator very fondly, and the audiobook is on Libby, but it wasn't available right now, so unfortunately I couldn't listen to it the way that I remember. I'm instead reading the ebook, but it's still good fun so far. This is a dystopian, post-apocalyptic story starting a series which I never read any of the other books from, but all of which are available on Libby, so I'm kind of hoping to read the whole thing during Squash That Series, but we'll see what happens. And it's basically about the world, but this meteor hits the moon, and they're not predicting that anything will go wrong with it, but instead it knocks the moon off kilter, way closer to Earth, and this has a ton of detrimental impacts because the moon controls things like the tide and such. So I'm 18% of the way into that, loving it so far. It's a fast, engaging read, and I didn't actually remember any of the beginning of it. I remember like 1 or 2 scenes specifically, and that's it. So I'm excited to see where it goes and excited to see where the series continues to go. And aside from that, I haven't read anything. So I'd love to start my audiobook today, which I think is called Crazy Stupid Bromance. It's the 3rd one in the Bromance Book Club series, and I'm going to use that one to fulfill the prompt of listening to a sequel on audiobook. Oh, should have said, I'm reading Life as We Knew It for the prompt to read a book from a series that you've waited so long to continue that you have to reread the first book. That's where I'm at. I'm also kind of hoping to start the 2nd book in the Sparrow series. I don't know if it's actually called the Sparrow series, but it's called Children of God, and I just finished the Sparrow last week and gave it a raucous 5 out of 5 stars. So I'm going to read that, to read the 2nd book in a series and the final book in a series, because I believe it's a duology. Yeah, so I'm hoping to start that soon, but welcome to the vlog. Let's get some reading done. Happy Wednesday. It's almost 8 p.m. and I can't even remember if I updated you yesterday, even though I did end up reading like quite a bit. So anyway, I'll catch you up now about the crazy life I've been leading and how it's only going to get crazier from here. So yesterday I ended up finishing 2 books. I read Paper Girls Volume 4 and I gave it 3 stars. So it was slightly better than volume 3, but not significantly. And then I read 80% of Life as We Knew It. And I ended up giving that 4 stars. And again, that was for the prompt for a series that you've waited so long to continue that you have to reread the first book. And the craziest thing was like, there are some distinct scenes that I have very specific memories of hearing in the narrator's voice. And again, I couldn't get the audiobook in time for this challenge, so maybe I'm hallucinating all of it. There were definitely, like, I've definitely heard that story before. There were elements of it that were very familiar to me. I knew the general concept about the moon getting closer to the Earth and messing up the tides and stuff. I remember them living in the sunroom and things like that, but I have very specific memories of scenes like her finding soap in somebody's house, like ransacking someone's house and finding soap. That scene did not happen in this book. I have no idea where that scene is from. Did I somehow manage to read one of the later books? Am I thinking of a random other dystopic book where they also stockpile things? Or did I read the soap scene and skip right over it in my brain, which doesn't make sense because I was waiting for it the entire time? I have no clue. Anyway, so I gave that book 4 stars, and I checked out the second book in the quartet to continue reading for this. And then last night, I almost called it The Sparrow, but it's the sequel to The Sparrow, called Children of God, and it leaves us off pretty much right where we ended The Sparrow, and I'm interested to see what the general plot is, although something shocking has already happened. So I think it's just going to get crazier from here. Needless to say, some things that we thought happened in the last book did not occur quite as they were told to us. So I'm intrigued to see what happens next. That's the only way I describe The Sparrow and Children of God, is intriguing, interesting. I'm excited to see what happens next. That's all my updates will ever be about those. Now, I'm going to listen to Crazy Stupid Bromance. I forgot to tell you, did I? That I started Crazy Stupid Bromance and that I'm 25% of the way into it. I gave the first book 4 stars and the second book 5 stars because Mac was the main character in the second book and I just love him. This particular one is following some characters that we've seen earlier on. I remember the girl more than I remember the guy, to be honest. I'm interested to see if the guy ends up joining the Bromance Book Club because so far he's like adamantly refused. He's friends with all the guys in it and stuff. He's even a groomsman, I think, in Mac's wedding. But this one is mainly a friends to lovers, one of my favorite tropes, and it's unfurling in the way that I like friends to lovers to happen. Recently I read a book that was friends to lovers trope and was terrible, so I'm liking this a lot more. The reason that I love friends to lovers is because I care about people having deep emotional connections to one another, and the deep emotional connections are more likely to be present in friends to lovers romance books than they are in others, is my opinion. So that's why I like that trope, and so far I'm loving this book. It also deals with some heavy topics, so make sure you look up trigger warnings. The female main character has been victimized in the past in various ways, and so anyway, just be very careful reading it, but I think that's adding so much to the story, and seeing the guy's perspective on it is like, great, he's incredible, he's doing all the right things. So I'm looking forward to listening to more of that, and I'm actually going to listen to more of that while I get my life kind of together, because I'm moving next week, and so my room is a mess. Like, we keep buying stuff to have in my dorm room, or like, I went to the Dollar Tree today, now there's just stuff everywhere. So I'm gonna do that. Happy Thursday. It's only like 8:40 a.m. I tried to stay up late last night so that I would sleep in this morning, but then my body would not let me go back to sleep. So basically today, I don't know how much reading, if any, I'll get done, just because I expect to not feel very well all day today, and I don't want to like force myself to have to use my brain or anything, especially since I took the GRE yesterday. Did I even mention that I took the GRE yesterday? I did. So today I have a couple of medical tests, one of which requires that at midnight last night I stop having like anything like water or food or anything. So I'm just going to feel poorly for the majority of the day. Which is fine, but I'm out here on the couch. I'm going to watch YouTube, hopefully some booktube at least, and then maybe the desire to read will come over me and I'll do that. But for right now, I'm just gonna stay right here. Let me be very clear. I did not expect this to be a good reading day. Nevertheless, I read 1 chapter of The Dead and the Gone, which is the second book in that series that starts with Life as We Knew It, or something like that. Anyway, and it is following a different set of characters. In particular, this one is following a boy named Alex who lives in New York City, and his mom is, I think, an emergency nurse, so that's pretty interesting too. I'm very tired emotionally, physically, because today has just been long and difficult. Unfortunately, part of chronic illness is a lot of medical tests to try and get official diagnoses for those things. Luckily, today, we were successful in our mission, which feels very good. It's a very long time in coming, and a lot of time debating whether or not I wanted to go through the difficulty of the medical tests in question in order to get the diagnosis, but it is much easier for society to take the things wrong with you seriously, or more seriously, when you have, quote-unquote, proof that they can see that your suffering is legitimate. I passed out for the first time in my life today. It was terrible. I do not recommend. I hope it's the last time I pass out in my life. 1 day of passing out only. Please and thank you. But I got the answers I needed, and then I spent the rest of the day on the couch, largely doing things that required absolutely no brain power, which largely consisted of watching YouTube. The good news is, I'm way more caught up on YouTube watching now. So, It's good. Also, one of my favorite creators who like barely posts actually posted a video today, and I needed that so badly, so loved that. She was trying out homemade candle hacks, which is just such a random thing for me to enjoy watching. She makes the most random videos, and I love all of them because of like her personality, her energy, her type of comedy. She's great. I might casually read a little more while I'm falling asleep, but no guarantees it'll make any like significant progress. Sorry for the low energy in this clip. I think it's understandable, justifiable, all that jazz. Tomorrow, hopefully, I'll be back with some more pep in my step and have a lot of time to read and such. It would be really great if I could finish a book tomorrow. That could either mean that I read volume 5 of Paper Girls, or that I finish Crazy Stupid Bromance, or both. We could live large and do both. We'll see what happens. But you'll be the first to know when something does happen, so. Happy Friday. It's just past 11 a.m. and I managed to read the second half of Crazy Stupid Bromance by Lyssa Kay Adams this morning, and I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So in order so far in the first 3 books in the Bromance Book Club series, from least favorite to favorite, I think it goes the first, the third, the second. I just love the second book so much. This one was really good. It had some aspects I appreciated. Like I've told you, it has some of my favorite tropes. There was one thing that kind of bothered me, and that like there was one plot thread that I felt wasn't resolved as much as it could have been, as much as I wanted it to be, but everything else was really good, and I thought it tackled a lot of tough topics. I mean, I feel like the books in this series always do. Like at the heart is a sweet romance and, you know, the fun of hearing guys talk about different romance tropes and the things that they learn from romance books, but like each book shows the difficulties that surround like regular life and finding love and keeping love and all that stuff, and I appreciated that. I really love that the other male characters in the series, the other members of the Bromance Book Club, really hold one another accountable, and thus hold the main characters of each book accountable to their actions and how what they say and do affects how the person they care about feels. I did love the scene where they were running and somebody was like, "You can't run here," and the Russian was like, "We have to run. You must always run for grand gesture." Like that was cute. So yeah, I don't have much else to say about it, but I did finish a book today like I was hoping to. So maybe I'll read another later, like another volume of Paper Girls, but we'll see. I have a lot of other things that I'd like to do today, and I'm not feeling particularly well. So I think right now I'm going to try to film a video. Happy Sunday. I have quite a bit to catch you up on. It is Sunday morning around 11 a.m. I think I just finished filming a video that you won't see for months, because what I did is this summer I went to the Dollar Tree several times, and I made a Dollar Tree haul out of each of those times, since I know you guys love my Dollar Tree hauls, but I'm only publishing one about every month or so. So I just finished filming the last of those. There's lots of filming in the past few days. And because of that, since I've talked to the camera in those ways, I hadn't felt like picking up the camera to vlog. I've also been working a little bit on my moving vlog and stuff, so things are just kind of crazy right now. But then I realized it's Sunday, and that this is going to be the end of this week of Squash That series. So like I had to get something done, both reading wise and vlogging wise. So anyway, last night I made a very concerted effort, and I read like 80% to finish it off of The Dead and the Gone. This is the second book in that quartet that I told you that I was reading for this. This one follows another young person. His name is Alex, and he lives in New York City. And his parents both disappear in the catastrophe of the moon getting pushed closer to the earth, and he's left to take care of his 2 younger sisters, one of whom is 15 and one of whom is 12. I do have to say, there were some interesting and compelling parts of this. Like, I found it interesting that there were no parental figures here. I thought it was cool to see the survival story from like the perspective of just a teenager trying to do the right thing. The main characters were also very Catholic, so it was interesting to see what role religion played in their interpretations of the world, as it was like very much apocalyptic. But I only gave it 3 stars because after you've read the first one, you know about the timeline of things that happen. You know, like, oh, the moon is going to come closer. Oh, they're going to realize it's an emergency. Oh, they're going to be running out of food. Oh, this is going to happen to help. All these things. And it very much progressed in the same way as the first one did. So it wasn't quite enjoyable because you knew all that was happening behind the scenes. But I am excited to jump into the third one, not only because it's a little shorter than the first 2, but because it goes back to feature the main character in the first book, Miranda. And I think Alex is going to show up in it too. So I think these 2 stories are going to converge for the rest of the series, which is going to be interesting to look at. And I'm interested to see what happens to the Earth after this timeline that we've now completed twice in the first 2 books. I also finished Paper Girls Volume 5, which I think I gave 3.5 stars. I definitely enjoyed better than most of the other Paper Girls volumes so far, so we only have 1 left. I have Paper Girls Volume 6, which I might read today. We'll see. I definitely think the 2nd and the 5th volumes were my favorites so far. Today, I have a lot of stuff that I need to do. I started out filming, and I need to pack a lot and do some different admin things, so I'm not sure how much reading I'm going to get done, which is upsetting. I'm also at like 15% of Children of God, so that's where I am with that, and I'm worried about finishing that one on time. That's where I'm at, and hopefully I'll update you when I read something. I just finished the 6th and final volume of Paper Girls. It was just okay, but I am glad that I finished that series. Checked that off my list. That was also my 7th book that I was reading for this challenge. Yes, 4 of them have been graphic novels. I understand that, but I'm still quite pleased that I've made some progress in my series so far. Toby, come here. Thank you. You're such a good boy. So I started This World We Live In by Susan Pfeffer this afternoon. It's the 3rd book in the quartet that I'm reading. The good news is I got like a quarter of the way through it, right? The bad news is, well, not bad news. The weird news is that I had a very bizarre reading experience because, as I was telling you about earlier this week, there are several scenes that I had sworn up and down were in Life as We Knew It. And I was positive I had never read any part of any of the other books in the series at all. And yet, the soap scene was in this book. The soap scene I was looking for, the pile on the side of the road scene that I was looking for, both of them happened in this freaking book. And several other scenes have occurred that have given me vivid flashbacks, like I know I have read this scene before, and yet I have literally no memory, none, of this specific book, only the first book in the series. In short, I have no idea what's going on, and it weirded me out a lot that those scenes were all in this book and not in the first. Had I only heard the 3rd book, that can't have been right, because I distinctly remember the cover of the first book. Like, distinctly remember the cover of the first book. In short, I'm losing my mind. Let's see if I lose it even more in next week's vlog when I finish reading this book. But it's Sunday night, so I'm gonna end this off here. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Have you ever forgotten about a whole other book you read? Have you ever thought there was a scene in one book, it was actually a scene in a totally different book? I would love to know. Also, if you're participating in Squash That series, I'd love to know how you're doing down below. And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!